Welcome to this exciting webinar on machine translation. My name is Micha Knaus and I'm the supplier manager here at Propio Language Services. Really happy to say we are expanding the pool of machine translation supported languages because currently we only supported Spanish and Russian. So we are adding over 30 more starting on January the 2nd. But we are not stopping there, so support for more languages is coming. So allow me to introduce the incredible team joining me today. So first we'll have Ricardo Lopez, a senior translation project manager. So many of you work with him already, and he knows in and outs of the translation management system view, and also he understands the challenges you face while navigating it. He is also committed to helping you understand better the system and will show you how to navigate the translation editor. So this is the thing you use during the translation. So you will discover during his presentation that the content you see in segments doesn't only come from the translation memory, but also from other resources like term-based, project memory, and of course, machine translation engines. Next, we have our exceptional Spanish in-house translator, Alejandra Navarro Romano. She's been utilizing our custom machine translation engines for quite some time, and she also actively contributed to improving the outputs of machine translation. So today, she will share best practices for working with machine translated content, and she will also provide valuable strategies for your success. But before we dive in, I want to remind you that you can use the Q&A button or chat function to ask questions throughout the presentations, because we'll set aside time at the end of the presentation to address any questions you might have. So let's embark on this journey and explore the world of machine translation. So first, why are we doing this? Well, clients ask for more volume, much faster turnarounds, and more complex solutions than ever before. And if we want to stay in business and be relevant, we simply need to evolve and adapt. And with this, we also want you to learn, grow, and stay on the top of the things. So we as a company are constrained by compliance and regulations. Therefore, we can't use any machine translation system for any content, as many agencies do. This is also why we are that late to this party, I guess. And also, documents we translate often include PII, so personal identifiable information, and PHI, and so personal health information. And for such documents, we simply can't just use any machine translation engine out there. So for those, we only use our own trained and customized machine translation engines. So this is also why some projects won't receive machine translation support anytime soon. And for projects not containing PHI and PII, we have more freedom when it comes to machine translation engine selection. So now, what benefits can you expect from using machine translated content? I'm sure you're interested about that. So when you translate in Vue, you can currently only leverage translation memory and term base. When Vue cannot leverage any of those on the new content, you simply see empty segments you need to translate from scratch. So with this new machine translation support, all previously empty segments will now contain machine translated content. So basically, those are 75% matches and below. So this will help you complete translation faster, as you no longer need to type the whole sentence from scratch. And your overall throughput should significantly increase. This is what our tests and also in-house team support as well. But more on the strategies, we'll follow about that shortly with Alejandra. Then, throughout our testing, we found that several factors greatly impact machine translation quality. Definitely the most influential factors include well-prepared training data sets and specialized domain knowledge, and also specific client considerations. Now, for most of the machine translation engines we use, they are trained on our own data. So the machine translation content has been optimized for our use cases. Then the changes in the process. Machine translation is not perfect, and it probably won't be in a couple of years. So that's why we keep the translation and revision in the process to ensure quality. So we are keeping both steps. So we are not talking here about post-editing as such, because machine translation is only a tool to support your efforts, like translation memory in the past or still. So therefore, you still owe the quality. The next important thing to know, Ricardo will speak about it more. As a translator, it's crucial for you to be aware of the origin of the translated content you see in the translation editor. So it's essential to understand that the pre-translated content doesn't necessarily guarantee accuracy, and the responsibility for ensuring translation quality still lies with you. Then there will be some changes in the pricing structure we have. So pricing for fuzzy matches. So this is scoring 75% matches or higher, and the repetitions will remain the same, so no changes there. However, the content generated using machine translation, so this is scoring 74% and below, this will receive a 40% discount. Now, there is another important aspect of it. Our work doesn't stop with setting things right and handing them over to you. So if you notice any recurring mistakes, and I'm sure you will, or client-specific deviations in machine-translated content, or any imperfections, please do inform us about that. So even though the feedback on the machine translation is optional, so this is for translators, well, it's mandatory for revisers, but you know this already. So for machine translated, so for translators, it's optional to report quality. We can enhance the performance based on your feedback because we regularly retrain machine translation engines to minimize repetitive errors. And also with this, we improve accuracy for upcoming projects. So it's really essential for us and for you to provide us with feedback, because in long term, we all will benefit from this. But I think it's enough from me, so I will hand it over to Ricardo, and he will show you what's important to know about the translation editor. So Ricardo, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Miha. Welcome, everybody. My name is Ricardo Lopez, and I'm a senior translation project manager. Just a little bit about me. I've been in with Propio for almost 3 years, and I'm a civil engineer, but I ended up in translation by accident because of some technical translations, and I remain here. Okay, we are implementing the machine translation into different languages, and Miha asked me to talk a little bit about the widgets we have in the CAD tool and the view editor, and the colors and some other things. And I want to talk also about the QA. As a PM, we need translators to work the QA. Okay, for the widgets, there are 3 widgets in the editor. You can select the main one. The translation finder is the one that you will be using more. The timeline, that the translation finder shows where the matches come from. The timeline is a message exchange between the peers doing the translation, and the properties only just show metadata a few other, the status of the segment, and a few other information. So for the translation finder, it provides a detailed information about the translations that contain in different linguistic resources. So in Vue, for each project, there is a project memory, and it will be identified by PM, project memory. We also have a translation memory for each client, and then we have also a terminology database. Once you click in a segment, the translation finder will search for matches, and it will show everything at the right-hand side of the screen. Tell you the percentage of the matching and where it comes from. So you can identify if it comes from the project memory, that it contains everything that is being translated in that memory, in that project, the translation memory that it comes from previous translations done to that client, and the terminology database that is where translators and our internal linguists, they keep all the terminology, or even the one that is being provided by the client. So this is the main tool you will be using. You have three tabs where you can see the phrases and terms from the different resources. You have the concordances, and that is how that text is being treated and translated in previous instances of the TM, and then the machine translation itself. So for us, what we do with machine translation is that everything that is a fuzzy match and is below 75, it will go to translation memory. I mean, to machine translation. So we will populate from the engine everything that is below 75%. I will show you later in the word count how to treat and understand the word count. The timeline, as I said, is where you can exchange messages and comments with the reviser, the translator, the PM, and it also has a tab for the revisions, so you can check what it has been edited by the translator and the reviser. So this is it's a good tool as well, and very useful. Let's go to the word counts. Warby Vue manages two different in two separate places. We have one that is, those are the 100% and the perfect matches that go to one side, is the left-hand side of the word count, and then all the other are the fuzzy matches and the no match. So Michal asked me to talk about the each one of them. I think you all know that what's 110%, that is a perfect match. It means that the text is identical to another instance in the TM, but also the previous segment is identical. So we have two conditions, the previous and the segment itself. 100% is an identical translation, and it could be from the TM or from another instance. It's a repetition in the same document. And fuzzy matches are everything that is below 100. So those are fuzzy matches. And also internal fuzzy matches, those are the ones considering only the text in the document. The new words or no match, those are the ones that they leave the segment blank and you have to fill in with the translation. And then the machine translation populated from the translation engine, the machine translation engine, and that goes to that is below 75. So when we have a regular word count. Everything that is from 95 to 75 to 50, it will go to machine translation. And everything that is higher than 75, it will go to 75 pre-translated. The same colors you see here, those will be the colors in the editor. So the 110%, the perfect matches, will be in dark blue. That is the text in dark blue. The 100 matches will be in green. The fuzzy will be red. And then we have the new words that they will be gray when you type, and also it will be in gray when you edit a machine translated segment. The machine translation is in orange, but when you edit, it will turn switch into gray. So these are the.
Ricardo, just a second. I would just like to ask if you're sharing the screen because.
Oh no, I'm not sharing the screen, and you didn't tell me anything. Now, okay, can you see my screen now? Let me check. Okay.
Yes, now we can.
Okay, so let's go again and do a sum up. We have the widgets, the translation finder, the timeline and properties. The translation finder provides all the information from the linguistic resources, and we have the project memory, the translation memory, and the translation database. This information is on the right-hand side of the screen, and the three resources will be reflected in each of the matches. So PM means project memory, TM means translation memory for that client, and I don't have anyone here, but TB will be terminology database. The timeline, like as I said, is another part that is usually below the translation finder, and here you can find the comments and messages exchanged by the peers during the translation. And then the word count, the 100%, 110%, those are the perfect matches. It has two conditions, the segment itself and the previous one. Those are identical, both of them. The 100% is that same translation for that only the segment. Fuzzy matches are everything below 100. New words are no matches at all, and they are reflected here in this part. And the machine translation, that is a new column that is added when we do the machine translation only. If we don't do the machine translation, this column won't be shown in the. This at the left-hand side of the word count, this 100 pre-translated and the perfect matches, these come from the translation memory. And all the fuzzy matches, 100 conditions. Here we have everything from the cross-file repetitions and also from the fuzzies from the translation memory. Okay, so as I said, the colors we see here in the numbers will be the ones in the view editor that you see the text in that color. So for the 110%, the perfect matches, you will see in dark blue. The 100% will be a green. Fuzzy matches will be red. New words, the segment is blank, but when you enter the text, it will be gray. And then the MT, the machine translation, is orange. And if you don't edit the segment, it will remain in orange. If you edit, it will turn into gray. Okay. So I don't know. There are a lot of more things in the editor that you can use, like a lot of searches, filters, but mainly what we wanted to reflect here was where the information for the linguistic resources come from. And now to finish my presentation, I want to talk about the QA in Vue. The QA in Vue is as good as any other tool. I know a lot of you know Xbench and other QA tools, and we need you to run it. It is mandatory to run the QA and clear all the errors in the translation. So to run it, you have to go to the main menu, go to QA checks, run QA and view QA results, and you will get into this window. So this box is where you have first, you have to select your language, and then you have to select a QA profile. We will talk about the profiles in the following slides, but if you select the Propio default, that includes all of the profiles. And then you have two type of different layouts for the QA. If you go first to the issue resolver, you will see everything with more information and probably clear to identify what the problem is. So when you do run, and then you go to and runs and it gets to the QA results. So there are a lot of profiles. You can run one by one. You can do it anyone you want. We have consistency. So if I had a problem a few days ago with a segment that it was including three, it was referring to different numbers, and we were missing two, and the QA was not run correctly, and we thought it was, and then we delivered to the client, and we had a problem. So consistency, data numbers, markup are the tags, punctuation, spacing, double spacing. That's everything you can find in the QA, but if you run the Propio default, everything is included in there. This is the QA, the issue resolver window where you can see all the segments that they do have a problem. And what is the problem? It doesn't mean that all of them have to be fixed. We have a lot of false positives, and that's something we cannot. That's something that we will have in using the tool with any tool. So in this case, we have two. An edited pre-translation, it means that it was pre-translated before, but we didn't touch it. And how a term was translated. We have different ones. So this is a tag problem. So you may not like the interface, but if you don't like the interface because you think it takes too much to identify one by one, you can go clicking in the arrow at the left, at the bottom left side of the window. You can go to the other layout of the quality assurance, and here this is the same but in the different layout. Here you can export the report into an Excel file, and when you export, you have a different layout, and it's probably better and more clear to understand. But we need you to run it and go one by one. And if you have false positives, please let us know. So we know that because we run the QA before we do the delivery to the client. When we prepare everything, we run the QA, and we better know from you that what we are going to find are false positives. Okay, that helps a lot. So if you need anything from me, clearing more and explaining more the QA and how we work and what how the editor is, contact me. I've seen a lot of names here that I've been in touch and I have been assigning jobs now and in the past. So thank you very much to all of you for listening to me, and I hope this helped you a little bit with Vue. And thank you for your collaboration and your help.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Alejandra, it's your turn now to let us know what strategies you use to be efficient when working on machine translated content. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Alejandra. I'm an in-house linguist, English, Spanish. So first, to respond this question that I'm seeing here, no, we cannot run the QA with all of the documents opened. We have to go one by one. And at the end, if we want to check consistency, we have a tool there to check consistency precisely throughout the documents. So we can make sure that if we have same segments, the information is going to be exactly the same in target language. So allow me one moment to share my screen. Okay, so, okay, I don't know. So can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, so, well, I've been working with MT for a while now, and for it to be a useful tool, we gotta learn how to work with it. And maybe at first, as we're not used to it, it's going to be a bit hard when we learn how to detect certain issues that we can encounter. So first of all, MT is not our competition, and this has to be clear because if we are aware that, as Mija said, MT is not perfect, then it's going to help us to provide good quality work or continue providing good quality work. So as we said here, this the final quality is still owned by us as translators, and we need to check every single segment, even though like it's already populated there. So the issue that we can encounter is if the MT did not follow the term base or the TM of the client. As Ricardo said, everything below 75% is not going to be through fuzzy matches, but the MT. And that means that sometimes we are not, it's not going to be consistent with what the client already has. So it is important that we continue using, as we would do with regular translations without MT, that we continue using the shortcuts and everything to look for terms that we think are field specific within this client. Also, some other things that we can see there is when there is no consistency throughout the document. So let's say we have a word and we have, let's say, booklet, and we have two different translations in our target language for it. So maybe MT could translate this word into one word in the target language in one segment, but then, and if it is appropriate and we consider we can leave this word, we're going to leave it as is. But then in another segment, we can see that MT used another word for this same word from source. So we have two options for booklet, and MT is going to use option 1 in one segment and option 2 in another segment, and then again use option 1. So it is up to us to keep in mind that we need to be consistent with the use of terminology in every single segment throughout all of the document. We can also find false friends. And if we are not paying attention to source text, we could leave it as is, and this could create a distortion. Also, at least in Spanish, I don't see them appearing that often, but we can see them, which is spelling and grammar issues. We also are going to find some structural issues. Probably if our target language is too different from English, we are going to have to rearrange the structure of the sentence for it to look natural in our target language. Another one is target language rules. Usually MT is going to follow English language rules. And if it is too different from our language, we gotta keep that in mind and make the necessary changes. It can also have changes in tone, so it can use formal language and informal language, as it is taken from what we previously have in our term basis. And we probably have clients for which we use a type of language and another. We can encounter this inconsistency throughout the documents regarding language. And if we do have these different uses of language in our target language, we have to be aware of that as well. If we already got to the point where we check all of these previous points, which is we follow the term base, we follow the TM, there is consistency, there are no issues of grammar and spelling, we are following our target language rules, then we gotta keep in mind style. Probably the style used here is not the one we prefer, but if all of the previous things are correct, then we gotta leave it as is. The following issue that we can encounter is the alteration in the use of tags. So this is mainly going to be fixed, or we can be aware of these issues with a QA, but still sometimes tags may seem as they are correct, but if we look closely, maybe the number, the letter that appears in them is not in the proper place. So we gotta check that too, and to know if they are performing a function or they have, I don't know, like italics or bold letters, we need to check our source text or document at all times. So we can see where we can place them or if they are essential around a letter or a phrase. And also MT, especially at the beginning of the use and before we provide input about it, we can see a lot of changes in proper names and addresses. So I'm going to show you at the end a couple of examples. In here, okay, it was following. In here, we can see how we have Main Street, and as these are usual words in every language, these are translated. So we can, I don't know if here we can see it, right? So in here we have it translated, and we gotta be aware of this. In this case, we have experience, and it's wrongly written in English, and it's going to translate it with the wrong way. It's going to be translated erroneously. So in here we have a word that is not correct, and we gotta pay attention to these tiny little details. In the following example, in here we have signature. It's a word that we always see. We have it in documents, in forms, in consents. And if we are not paying attention to the source document, and as it is a common word, in here it is translated. However, it is referring to the name of a plan. So as I said before, while we are working to it, maybe it is easier, or sometimes we forget to pay attention to the source document when we already have the DMT and we are focusing more on this. But it is always important to keep looking this, to keep referring to the source document, so we are sure that what we have here is what it's supposed to be. And so at the end, when the final client reads it, it's not going to be like any issue, or like everything is going to be clear. Another issue that we can encounter is sometimes when we have forms and we have the lines to fill information, or maybe tab spaces, MT usually does not follow these aspects. So in here we have name and then we have signature, but in Spanish it was translated as a single word or as a single phrase, and even the line was shorter. These things, what I find are useful for me, especially when we have short phrases or just one word, is to just copy source to target, so I don't lose time putting these lines or putting the tab spaces when I find it easier. You will get used to it and you will see how it works better for you and related to your target language. So the strategies. For me, what has worked, and I think for all of the translators that are now working with it and in our team, is to familiarize with the view. So when we use shortcuts, when we are used to using the term base, the memory translation memory, it is easier to work with MT. We are not lost with what we have there. We are used to do our research and everything. So it will be easier, and MT will be a useful tool. As we do with regular translations, it is important to always read source segment. So when we are looking at the MT translated segment, we are sure that it is the correct meaning. Sometimes if we only read the MT segment, it will seem as it is correct, but maybe while reading the source, we can see that it was not, meaning was not conveyed appropriately. So it is important to keep working as we usually do. Like I said, do our research segment, and to look into the client's MT and TV to make sure that we are working appropriately and to continue delivering good quality work. So we have here the rule of 3 seconds. If we see that after reading first segment that it is not going to work, don't lose time trying to fix the MT translation, because sometimes it will take longer and we already have an idea of what we wanted to say there. So if it doesn't work, just delete it and work from scratch. And as I said before, if everything that we need to check, all of the issues are okay, like there is no issues there, then avoid over editing or also under editing. It is important that we check and make sure every single segment is correct and it is something that we would approve as translators. And also, finally, it is important to provide feedback on the machine translated content. This way, the team that is working on improving the MT will be able to make improvements, and this will help for us to work on it better and to work faster as well with the MT content. So I think this is pretty much it. I don't know if you have any questions regarding what I said or what any of my teammates shared.
Thank you, Alejandra. So if you have any questions, please put them down in the chat so we can answer. We are here just for this reason. So if there are anything unclear, or if we're not sure about any function or anything, please let us know. It seems everything is clear. So Ricardo and Alejandra did a good job. There's a question. So when there is a better, when there is a translation in a project memory or in term base, and there is obviously a better solution, what to do? Ricardo, will you
well,
answer
if it
this?
is, yeah, if it is in the term base, I would say that you have to follow the term base, because that term base could be provided by the client. So we must follow the client's terminology. If it is not in the term base and it is in a segment or the TM, then you can propose to change it. But if it is in the terminology base, then you have to follow that.
Also, I would like to add that we have for some clients, we have a like a general term base. And in those cases, I'm not sure right now, but we can see when it is client-specific term base and when we have this general term base for many projects. I think in there it will be easier, but we also have to look in the translation memory to make sure we don't already have a lot of translated content with a specific translation, because then we will create inconsistencies with previous documents, which is, like, I think it's a pretty important thing to consider when working with the client.
Yeah, and you can always ask, and we will check for you, and we'll let you know if it comes from the client or not.
There is another good question. So what to do if you have a 110% match and you see there is something wrong with it, but you cannot edit it because the segment is locked? Ricardo, will you go on that one?
Yeah, we have a lot of 110% that in Spanish, they don't follow the gender or the number, and then they have to be edited. In those cases, let us know, and we will unlock the segments for you. And we do a lot of those. We have a lot of messages from the translators asking to unlock 110%.
Good. So there's a question about the customer translation memory results can be predominant than project memory. So there is always a hierarchy when you have linguistic assets like term bases, translation memories, project memories. So I think I shared just recently in the newsletter. So when you have all these resources attached to your project, you just need to follow the hierarchy, what is more reliable. So just follow that. And then a question: if machine translation doesn't make sense at all, and you need to work from scratch, is it still going to be paid as 70% match? Yeah, so it's still going to be paid as a machine translation. So even though you need to edit it or translate it from scratch. It doesn't happen.
Tatiana, share a secret. The translators, they shouldn't be allowed to unlock segments. And if you let us know that you're going to do it, but I will change your profile. I'm sorry, Tatiana. Regarding the QA errors, you can delete the information, but if we rerun it again, it will come out again. So
it is important for you when you receive QA results that you check them. And if there are false positives, it's okay. Important is that you read them, you check them, and make sure that there is nothing wrong with the segment.
Yeah, the thing is that you can clear the errors, and then you send everything and it seems to be clear. You know, there is no errors in the translation. But if I rerun the QA, the errors will come out again. So I will see that you deleted the errors, okay? So the communication is very important in this case. When you deliver, let us know what you did, what you found, what you left, and that will help a lot.
Also, what languages are supported. So not all languages will be supported currently with machine translation. So over 30 will be added on January. Daria and Pashto are not currently among them, but we are adding more and more languages gradually. So as soon as we have a reliable machine translation engine, we add this. Otherwise, I mean, because there are over 100 or well over 100 languages supported already, but the results are not good, so we cannot use that. So we only use machine translation engines that are reliable enough during the testing phase that they're useful. Otherwise, it's of no use. Okay, so thank you for all the questions, and thank you for attending the webinar. Also, thank you, Alejandro and Ricardo, for your time today. I really appreciate it. And again, thank you for all your efforts and support. And I'm very much looking forward to 2024. I think this year will be very exciting. Thank you.
And we are always open to hear from you. We really like having feedback from all our translators and revisers. So we are here to listen. Thank you. Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.